Mind speaking back to that oil molecule that moves heat to cool off the engine. The ester molecule, the jack, gets into that hole and does what?
Lubricates.
It lubricates
Okay,
the
you
cylinder.
have ester to ester. If you have
Basically,
all
it
the
breaks
esters
up together.
penetrating in all the metal, you now have esters to esters rubbing, not metal to metal. Esters to esters run about 60% less heat.
Yeah.
You run friction of ester to ester.
Right, in my fleet, I'm noticing at least 25% on board where the heat in the oil has been reduced.
Yeah.
And so oil moves heat, and this is protecting the heat
Protecting
from
the heat
coming up,
from being
being
created.
created.
But we spend in
That's what
conversations
citizens
with,
ask. We don't change the fuel properties, we don't change an engine properties, okay? We clean and we lubricate. We assume that the manufacturer, Ford, General Motors, Cummins, manufactured a good engine to begin with. Over time, dirt has made it not operate properly, and friction is a killer to it all. Friction is heat caused by metal to metal wear lowers the performance of a vehicle. Metal expands, weird things happen, you have different types of metals, they expand differently, you have, it just doesn't operate properly when it's overheated. Lower the temperature, lower the friction, it operates more the way it was intended to. In simple terms, if you have an 8-cylinder car and you call it a 5,000, well, you call it a 5-liter, which is 5,000 cubic centimeters. Let's just go to a simple one. You have 50 cc's in each cylinder. So if you have 8 of them, you'd have a 4,000 or 400 cubic inch engine. The cylinder injector, each fuel quantity is intended to go into 50 cc's and be compressed at a compression ratio of 12 to 1, let's say. So that leaves you that much space. It leaves you about, let's say, 10 cc's of space. That's how much fuel is being delivered by the carburetor or the injectors. If there's carbon buildup in there, you no longer have 10, you have only 9, let's say. So you have fuel sufficient to burn in only 10 cc's, but you only have 9. So the fuel cannot physically burn in there. So it's emitted as dirty or unburned fuel. And that's the progression of the engine getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and dirtier.
So essentially what you're saying is cars are not really made without the benefit of ethos because they're just using oil to actually be efficient. They will eventually become inefficient.
They will become inefficient. Internal combustion engine is the worst, most inefficient device that man has ever created.
Because the oil doesn't clean the engine.
Oil does nothing but
and what the
carry out.
engine needs for more efficiency is cleaning.
That's correct.
And oil just diffuses heat only.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oils, I mean, I love my friends at Ashland. They're very good friends of mine. So are the guys at Denso. But they all know they manufacture something that removes heat. But they also tell you that it's a lubricant and that the oil is doing all this lubrication. And then Pennzoil puts Z7 in there, which is a cleaner. And another one puts in a detergent and a this and a that. And they have all these additives in oil. Okay? I give you the following simple demonstration as to why the oil is not a lubricant. When you press your clothes in the morning, you heat up the iron to 145 degrees. And you do the iron test. We all know the iron test, right? You put a finger and go, okay? That's water coming off of touching 145 degrees, water. Try it with oil. Try it with, okay? It goes like that and bursts into smoke, right? At 145 degrees. The internal temperature of an engine is 400 degrees. Now, how do they tell you when you throw water on that iron, that little ball goes and bounces right off, right? Okay. how do they want to tell you that when the engine is operating, oil is sitting there lubricating this beautiful 400-degree piece of metal? It doesn't stay. It can't, it can't get there because it's too hot.
Mm.
So how is it doing this lubrication? When the engine is sitting there cold, there's the oil. We take our dipstick out and there it is. But when it's running in the engine, how could it stick to metal? They say, oh, it sticks and it does. No, it doesn't. It can't.
Right.
It's physically impossible to do that.
So have we done the iron test on Ethos? What happens? You just get a more efficient iron?
We showed you the molecule
Don't
gets
iron your
attracted,
Don't iron your
but the
clothes.
molecule breaks its leg off in there.
Right.
It's attracted, not repelled.
Well,
But